Welcome to the Geeky Three Fellow Geeks. Let's open a beverage of your choice because today is another episode of Frightful Fridays, in which I will be reviewing Bloody Axe Wound. Never heard of it? I didn't either until yesterday. Or maybe Wednesday, when I was looking for a movie to watch to review. I got started a little late looking, and saw that they were showing this at one of our theaters. And you could tell it was going to be great because they had one showing a day, and it was at 9:45 at night. But I watched the movie clip, the trailer, I guess you'd call it, and had a free ticket from my Regal app. So I said, hey, this looks like it's not going to be all that bad. So I went. The basic premise of this movie is it follows a young girl by the name of Abby. She is the daughter of a slasher, a serial killer. Turns out the adopted daughter of a serial killer who, it's a little small town, I guess, where you make money off being a slasher. She runs a video store, or the slasher runs a video store, VHS, it turns out, so I'm not sure exactly when this place was set to take place. And he goes out and he shoots his kills or whatever, or makes movies out of this stuff there's a killer, I can't remember the name of the killer, but it's a series of slasher movies, a la, Friday the 13th, where there's a slasher. And in this series of movies, Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays the killer. And they are kind of, the place isn't doing well, so they're wanting to make another movie, and he gets killed doing a kill, and of course slashers always come back, and she's like, oh, but he comes back, but he has a hard time digging himself out of the grave. So he's like, I've got to take some time to recover. I am going to let my assistant, the guy running the store, take over. And he had been teaching her how to do it. Like the things to do, like never let yourself, be seen. She'd wear a little werewolf mask. Do this, and so dude gets killed, and she has to take over doing it. So he sends her to this local high school, to go after the targeted kids. And of course they set it up in this one. There's the promiscuous one. They abuse drugs. Those are the kids that they're going after. And she meets these kids and actually falls in love with one of the girls. Yes, they had to throw that in there. And so she's not wanting to complete her job. And then so he decides to finish it up. It is a comedy horror. And yes, I put it that way for a reason. In movies, there's horror comedy and comedy horror. Generally, I think it's, the one that is first is the one they are focusing on the most. So it is a horror movie, but it's going to be a funny one. Sort of like Tucker and Dale Fight Evil. While Tucker and Dave Fight Evil was a fantastic movie, it was incredible. This one wasn't as good, and they were trying to be a little different with this one. The whole concept of this was kind of original, and so they're trying to be different and include the tropes of horror movies. Going after the promiscuous kids, go after the kids who do drugs, yada, yada, yada. But also kind of make fun of them and say, well, maybe these kids aren't all that bad. And, so I can see what they're trying to do. And there were some entertaining parts. It was overall kind of well done for, it was, it looked good for the most part. The kills could probably have used a little bit better special effects. It was kind of well written for what it was. But I don't think it hit the mark that it was trying to do. It didn't, achieve exactly what it was trying to do. There was kind of I don't know, there was this, it kind of went a little bit more reliant on the teenage, high school movie aspect of it. Like you get the losers in school. Those are actually the cooler people thing. And yes, we've all seen that before. So they did that. And, they were, including that in a slasher movie was kind of a good idea, but they went, I think, a little too hard on it. And didn't have enough of the whole horror movie, which is, at least for me, the appealing aspect of it. It was, supposed to be a slasher movie, or at least making fun of a slasher movie. And if you're going to have something that includes slashers, you have to have a little bit more of slashers in it. This didn't have enough, and I appreciate the effort, and even some of the little nods and kind of wink funny things that they have about other horror movies, like the father. It was the father, his mother, and her. There's no mention of, I think the father's wife had died or something. I don't really think they mentioned it. But the father's mother was a skeleton there, sort of like, not a skeleton, but a dried up body, sort of like in Psycho, at the end of Psycho. Spoiler alert. And, for the Psycho part, not for, this, because they reveal that, like, early on. She's just, you know, she's sitting at the dinner table and they're talking to her like she's alive. But I think they worried a little too much on the high school comedy part of it and not enough on the slasher aspect or the horror movie aspect of it, for my taste. But it wasn't bad. I mean, I don't want it to sound like I'm really bagging on it, because as a movie it was, kind of entertaining. But it wasn't a good slasher movie. And I don't know, I never really saw any marketing for it. I didn't, like I said, I didn't know it existed until I saw it, listed at the theater. So I don't know what they're intending, because if you see a marketing of a movie, you can tell what the intent of that movie was. Were they trying to have it as a, kind of a high school comedy thing where it just happened to be a horror thing, or do they happen to want to do it as a horror movie that happened to be a comedy? I didn't know which, and that's, what the intent of it was. It seems like they're trying to do more comedy than horror, but I don't know. And I'm probably just a little bit more generous with this thing because I saw it for free. But I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, I didn't, it wasn't a waste of time. I mean, it was worth driving all the way across town for it, 9 o'clock at night. And, traffic wasn't bad, so it wasn't all that, it was just really cold. But, it was enjoyable. It wasn't not worth the trip. But it's probably not, it's not going to be a movie that I will want to get the physical media of, or probably even watch again. But, if you have a chance to watch it, if it's close by, check it out. It was, you won't really be wasting your time as far as I'm concerned, but it's not something you're going to be raving to your friends about. Unless you're like me and don't have any friends. Kidding. But, so yeah, I'm just going to say 2.75 out of 5 and say, see it if you want. Don't see it if you don't want. But anyway, let me know what you thought of it if you saw it. Like, subscribe, possibly share, and if you and enjoy your horror movies.